Why commercial?
There are so many things because I wanted to help people. At the same time I wanted to do it for myself.
You're not waiting to be rich in 10 years. You're getting richer every day.
You can even today, 2025, you can buy a commercial property, qualify for the 100% loan. Of course you need to tap into equity of something else.
So they are in Norwestern, near Lexington Drive. The address will be there. You should go and catch up with him for your wealth growth. Hi, welcome to another episode of Inspire from Reality. As we always bring new stories that inspire us, people those who have gone through scars, people those who have gone through wins, people those who have licked their own wound and stood up again and built the empire of business. And they're still growing and they're still building. They're seeing the losses, they're seeing the profits, they're seeing the growth, and they sometimes see the back falling from the growth too. But all these makes them what they are today, and that is what we learn from them. Today we have guest who is a commercial buyer's agent, or we can say as commercial property strategist. When all in Sydney or over Australia are growing with properties, but it is mostly resi, we always talk about residential. But this human being, he only focuses on commercial. He brings that light into commercial properties and adds it to your portfolio. The de-risking of resi property is what he does. Let's welcome Soumen. Hi Soumen.
Thank you so much. This is good. It's good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Soumen, in our Inspire from Reality, it is a real story. So we always start with the past. We say past. Your past is what is your future and what has made you today. So let's start from the first. How was Soumen's past? Where were you born? How was your education? What you did after that before coming to Australia? How was it? And then why you moved to Australia?
Yeah, I came to Australia 2014. So my past is I am originally from India, and I grew up in literally a remote village, you can say. I had everything, but at the same time I was not kind of a super rich kid or that kind of family. So I studied engineering, and my engineering was computer engineering, and the sole purpose of my life was to get a job. If I tell you a little bit more about my past, in 2004 I actually lost both of my parents. And it was a very tough moment for me because I did not get a job. I was still studying. My brother was younger, and all of a sudden that happened, both of them, that we didn't know what to do. Luckily, of course, I had family support. My maternal uncles and all, they supported. And within 6 months, then I got a job. I passed out from that engineering. I got a job, and then from there, life took us a long way.
Young age, getting the responsibility of your brother, family, and losing parents. I can't believe how tough it would have been.
Yeah, it is interesting because, see, one thing that of course I lost them and all, but if you look at the other side, by losing them, I suddenly became from boy to a man. I had no other option. I had to burn all the bridges and to be able to do like that. And then I started working with a top IT company in India, and from there life took off. I went to different cities and all the different countries as well, and I went out of my comfort zone. Originally I'm from Calcutta, my nearby city is Calcutta. From there it took me to all the different places, and look where I am because of that push I also got as a result of losing my parents.
Recently in an episode I've said that when life throws you lemon, you make lemonade. You are just classic example of that. You did not give up. You did not start grieving that this happened with me, but you took that loss as an opportunity, or you turned into opportunity to grow yourself. How beautiful is that? This is really great. But then how did you come to Australia?
So I was working with an IT company back in 2012, and around that time my wife now, so we met, and she was studying in Australia. She came as a student. She was studying in Australia, and we met, and then I was at that time was working in South Africa. So there was a discussion about whether she is going to come to South Africa or I am going to come to Australia. And this is what happened, because women always win. So this is exactly in 2014. Then of course I applied for my PR and got my PR in 2013. I got my PR in 2014. I moved after I got married on the same year, 2014.
Oh wow. Yay, that's a long time. Australia just feels like home now. In fact, it is home now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's everywhere. In fact, today morning I was talking to my wife. I said, everywhere I go, I don't feel like I'm not in India or, with the so many different culture in Australia, it's just become part of person of our life. We can do so many things. We are so fortunate. Live a nice house. We can do so many different activities that was not possible back then in India, but now we can do. So this was a
God's
great
grace.
opportunity.
Yeah, it's all God's grace. So how from IT you move to commercial bus? They're two different things, right? Totally poles apart.
Absolutely. So when I came to Australia, just a quick background of that is when I was growing up, I had a very small house. Like we had a small house, and then I lost my parents, as I said. From there, I was passionate about building wealth through property, even in India as well. So I bought few properties, houses there in India as well. So when I was working in South Africa, at that time, I didn't know whether I'll come to Australia. So even South Africa itself, I was looking for, okay, what can we do here? And then when I moved from day one, I was passionate about real estate. And Australia is, we all the time we talk about real estate, isn't it? And at that time I was working, and I was working with Macquarie Bank. And the best part of working with Macquarie Bank is, as you know, in 2014, Macquarie Bank actually came from investment banker to this mortgage business. And that's how I learned about all the commercial lending, how these things works, all the rules and everything. I worked there for about 6-7 years, and I said that, okay, this is the way to go. Now at the same time I was working, initially I was investing into residential real estate. Like personally, I was not like doing anything for anyone else, but I was doing for myself. But then it happened 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, I bought quite a few residential properties. As you know that it has grown up quite a lot since then. Now in 2025 we can talk about where it's grown so much. Tap into those equity invested into commercial property. And in 2023 I called myself financial independent, means I didn't have to work for anyone else to live, because of all this commercial as well as residential property growth plus income that we got. So this is how my journey started, and every day I'm getting more and more passionate about real estate as well as the commercial property.
Wow. 2023, he was financially independent. Can you believe it? That's the strategy what people bring into the table, and when we trust them with the strategy that they have done for themselves, it just grows from there. So why commercial?
Yeah, so why commercial? There are so many things, because I wanted to help people. At the same time I wanted to do it for myself. Now, as I said that originally I was investing into residential. In about 2019, around that time, so I met a person, my mentor, and then he actually, it triggered me a very important point, because he wrote a book. I'm not telling the person's name, like you'll be able to find 0 to 130 properties in 3.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Now that's a lot. I mean, that is an eye-catchy book. Like the title itself is catchy, and you'll say that, oh, okay, I read that book, I learned about that, and of course I went to his training materials and everything. And then I asked him a very simple question: how many residential properties do you own now? And the answer is 0.
Oh.
And said, what's your portfolio? All the portfolio is the commercial property. And that triggered me that, okay, yes, you get growth in residential property, but the income, the cash flow, to become financially independent, you have to move to commercial. And that is how I transitioned myself. And I saw that, and now once you see, you don't unsee. It means like once you invest, you see that sending invoice every month and getting paid, and it has a lot of other intricacy, like it has plus outgoings and all. There is no going back. That's how I started commercial, and now I'm helping others also to follow the same journey.
Wow, that was an interesting point, Soumen. Like once you see that cash flow, because with Resi, you see the cash flow after 10 years or 15 years, right? But with commercial, your cash flow immediately picks up, and in every day-to-day life, you become rich. You're not waiting to be rich in 10 years. You're getting richer every day.
Absolutely. And you can, even today, 2025, you can buy a commercial property 100% loan. Now, to qualify for the 100% loan, of course, you need to tap into equity of something else. But core math is, as long as you qualify for that and you take 100% loan, it is still possible to make it positive cash flow with 100% loan. So let me just give you a quick example. Let's say a property is $1 million and it is giving you 65,000 net rent. The word net is important, which means like all the expenses like rates, insurance, management fees, this all is paid by the tenant on top of the rent, which is why it's called net rent. Then if you the same $1 million that if you take that as your loan or the mortgage payment, right now at the time of recording, let's say you'll be getting around 5.7 5.8% interest. So technically, and if you're getting 7%, so 10 to 12,000 per year positive cash flow, which is about $1,000 per month positive cash flow with 100% loan.
Wow. And this is where I got interested in your discussion. Like we discussed, right? And I was so interested in understanding more about commercial buying. And before that, I never thought. Honestly, I've seen so many people talking about commercial buyers, but not with this passion and with this data that you always give. I mean, I have spoken to Soumen so many times. The data that he brings, you can never unsee once you have seen it. Okay, buying is fine, but what's about the resale value of commercial property?
We need to understand a couple of things here when it comes to resale. Now, commercial is as it makes a commerce, right? So you're dealing with businesses. So your tenant is a business person. Now, as long as that place is viable for business and the business is growing, means they will be able to pay more rent, and the rent is growing, the property value is going. So let me give you one again example. Let's say the same $1 million property, 70,000 rent, and you have bought that today. Fast forward 10 years down the line, let's say that 70,000 rent with 3% or 4% rent increase, it has gone to $140,000. So that means that 70,000 with 7% return was 1 million. Now 140,000, 7% return, that property become $2 million. So sometimes we see that, commercial property, the growth is not there, and I can, whatever I buy, the property remains the same. But you need to see a simple math. As the rent goes up, so does your property value. So that's how you get that growth. And generally speaking, if you buy commercial property or any real estate, you are not thinking about 6 months or 1 year horizon. You need to think about a long term. And in my opinion, long term is around 10 years, 15 years time. If you hold real estate for 10 to 15 years, then you would for sure will get growth. Commercial also you will get growth, but more importantly, commercial going is very easy. It means because you are getting cash flow, so you don't have to feed money from your pocket, and that's what it makes sense to go both growth as well as income in commercial property.
Oh wow, yeah. And see, commercial, like how properties, we have different reasons, we have everything, different types, we have apartments, we have townhouse, we have land and house package and old houses. For commercial, how is the offices? Like people buy offices to rent, one is that kind of, and retail. So what kind of commercial are these two, and if there is any other variety around it, if you can say, and how is the growth going in every sector?
Yeah, very important part to know that commercial, just like residential, you see that house, on the house and land package and all. With commercial, when we talk about earlier, it used to be like retail and office. Like as you mentioned that retail, where you can retail, in other words shops, any kind of shops that you see, this is a retail, and the office. Now it's interesting because the way the world is going, a lot of people talking about that retail is dead because everybody will buy online and all sort of things. Hence there is a stigma that is being attached into retail. Having said that, in retail there is something called LFR, large format retail, like a big brand, big businesses, like for example like Bunnings, TradeLink, JVI, you name all these large format retail, they are coming, and those are very lucrative in commercial property. There are other industries which is the industrial, lot of people talking about, which is like a little bit of office, and the backside is like a warehouse, and that become really lucrative. Now the challenge, because everybody is chasing for that, and that's how the return is becoming less and less. The yield is getting compressed. Earlier you used to get, let's say, about 7%, 7.5%, 8%, 9% it used to be there, but it is getting reduced. In fact, right now 6% is where also the interest rate is around 5.7, 5.5. So which is why 6% people will be buying it. So it's a good industrial property, 6% people are buying. So industrial, and then also special category, what is called specialized property, such as child care, petrol station, hotel. These are specialized because as lending criteria is slightly different. For example, if you buy a petrol station, you will only get about 50 to 55% loan. You won't get. So whereas in an office or retail or shop where you get 70% loan.
Interesting. I thought petrols will be getting 100% loan. They look big. They are always busy.
Yeah, they're busy and they're always big. At the same time, it is specialized because in a petrol station, let's say even a small 1000 square meter block, even somewhere the highway, the rent could be, let's say, 600,000-700,000 annually. And that means that petrol station could be $9 to $10 million. So it is specially built because it is, as you know, petrol station mean underground tanks. There is some environmental thing that you need to look after and all, which is why it is specialized, and banks generally don't prefer to give more than 50%.
Interesting. Since we are talking about commercial, how is the insurance around commercial properties? Is it too high? What kind of insurance people are, I know you're not an insurance agent, but generally what kind of insurance are people looking into it?
Yeah, so in commercial property, remember we need to understand the lease part. Residential property, as you know, the lease is only 6 months to 1 year. With commercial property, the lease is longer, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, sometimes even 15 years. And in the lease, which is technically like a rule book, you can think about, it is written that the insurance will be paid by the tenant. Yes. So from you as a landlord, if you are buying and 5 years down the line insurance goes up, it will be paid by the tenant, because that is, from tenant point of view, it is the cost of their business. Yep. Now what kind of, so as a landlord, the way we prefer and we advocate to our clients is you take the insurance and then you pass it on to the tenant. What type of insurance? Of course you need to protect your building, but there are certain insurance like a plate glass and all sort of things. Then that's what you need to make sure this plate glass and this insurance will be taken by the tenant. So this owner will take the building insurance and the tenant will take the rest of the business insurance, but this owner is going to charge this insurance cost from the tenant, because in the lease it is written that it will be paid by the tenant.
Yes, absolutely. I just leased. I can absolutely understand that. We just leased, you came to our new printing business and all the insurance are paid by us.
If you want to buy as an investment, then you need to look for that, how you can provide better opportunity to your tenant, because ultimately if they make money, they will pay you rent. And your goal is to make sure that they are earning money, because no matter how strong is your lease, if they are not making money, they are going to struggle paying you rent. Yeah. So as part of our due diligence, what we bring into is that when we buy a property, first of all, most of the cases we buy a tenanted property, and if it is tenanted, the question that we always ask, okay, are they making money? Is the business making money? If the business is making money, they will always pay rent and your property will never be vacant.
Interesting. Just a thing came into my mind. Do you get a lot of inquiry about buying a laundromat as a commercial? Because everybody is crazy now. I don't know, all of a sudden there is all craze about that. So how is it?
Yeah, I mean, we need to understand that why it is people are crazy about laundromat. The reason is that our life in Australia is becoming busier and busier. Nobody is saying that, oh, I have lots of time. So then what is happening is all this household work, you literally thinking of like outsourcing it, right? Now at your home you have the machine and all, but that can do only certain things. For example, if you have a big quilt or if you have something that you cannot do, you have to take it to the laundromat. And that's how it is becoming more and more popular. And if you see even the large scale laundromat become big investment. One thing that you need to be careful, the insurance part. Make sure that if you are investors, like if you are buying the freehold and some other business who is running that laundromat, the insurance is paid by the tenant, because the insurance premium can be quite significant. So that part you careful. As long as it is paid by tenant and you are owning the freehold, then it's fine. If you want to do the business, then you of course you need to do the business part and need to understand that how you're going to make money and what's your business ROI and all sort of things you need to calculate.
Interesting. Since you asked your mentor, let me ask you, what is your commercial portfolio looks like?
Yeah, it is interesting about commercial portfolio because when we talk about residential property, we always talk about I have 4, 5, 6, 10 or 20 or 30 properties because number matters a lot. You judge a person by saying that I have 30 properties. In commercial, it's exactly opposite. It's not the number of properties, it's the how much cash flow you are getting. And that is how, let me tell you, I collect $500,000, $500,000 net cash flow from properties.
Wow.
Now, if I am not telling you how many properties, because if I had have told you 6 properties, that doesn't make any sense in commercial property. It could be one. If you own one Bunnings, which is let's say $20 million property, and that is giving you probably $1.2 million rent, and you have a 10 years lease, and you know the Bunnings is not going to move out. So in commercial property is not about how many properties you own, is more about that cash flow. And as I said that we collect and our family collects $500,000, and it's just not to just flex my muscle or something, it's just to impress upon you that anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. It's just a sheer planning. The lenders is there, they're ready to lend, and as long as you're thinking about it and you know the game and you are now going through it, you will always be successful.
Oh, wow. But you're also creating a great legacy for your kid. You have kids, right? Two kids, right?
I have one.
One.
So she's 7 years old, and absolutely, I mean, this is something that we talk, even with she's 7 years old, is that how we can provide the best, education, the legacy that we are creating, that she can take it. Like all my properties and everything that we are buying, I don't have to sell this, and in my life perhaps I don't have to, but at the same time, if she understands and she does not have that financial pressure from day one, she can choose whatever university she can go. If she wants to take a 1-year vacation in her 20s and go in a different countries and explore, she can do that. I always talk about life is a collection of experience. Yes. So as long as she can have that experience is what it matters, and that she would be able to do with that backings that we already have.
And now your wife has also joined you in the business?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, and you are in Norwest. So they are in Norwest, near Lexington Drive. The address will be there. You should go and catch up with him for your wealth growth. But now she has joined your business, right?
Yes, so she is still doing sort of part-time because of she's still focusing on another business that we have. But we are selling that business, so that way once that will be done, then completely she will be moving into. The reason behind, because this commercial property, I'm also the strategist. So before you buy the commercial property, you ask the question why. And the second also is that if you have that goal, financial goal, which is let's say 200,000 passive cash flow or $500,000 or even $1 million passive cash flow, the question that we ask is that why do you want to achieve that? Because knowing why is going to make your find how. I mean, this is the thing, that's the strategy that we bring into. Now of course I'm not a financial planner, so not the financial planning point of view, but can give you strategy which will help you to understand, and then you just execute, you just follow that path.
It's getting really interesting. Like, we have got so many small nuggets of information from you that is really great. But also I know that you do webinars as an education, right? You are here today, we are discussing, but also your webinar. Tell about your webinar and how, if somebody is really interested to know more about commercial investment, how can they join your webinar and what's the process from there?
Yeah. So yes, so if you have, like I always tell even your audience as well, like whenever you want to buy something, in comes to the commercial property, there is a lot of pre-work that you need to understand about commercial property, and that's how we have a commercial property course, where if you don't know anything, for example, if you don't know anything about triple net lease, what is cap and collar, these are the terms that will be the first time you're hearing, then before you buy a commercial property you need to know this. And that's how we ask people to go through our course and understand about commercial property, then you buy. Because if you don't know, most importantly, you have to learn, you have to know. There is no way around. Now you can jumpstart, you can say that, okay, I would help us, and that's how our commercial buyer agency kicks in, and our team is going to help you to find that property, do the due diligence. But in a long game, you have to learn. Yeah, without learning, you cannot do these things. We also run this webinar every month, And if you go to our website www.emlina.com.au, and there is a link, you can register, and that way any events, anything that is happening, you will be able to get notification. And feel free to come to our webinar and see what are the different deals, what are the different properties that we are buying, and get inspiration, and then one day you'll be able to buy it too.
That's amazing. And the links and everything will be in the description. You can jump in. Soumen's details will be also there. Now, Soumen, how important is a car park? I just remember car park because I parked the car, and we are at the Post studio called Amplified Studio, and I had to park my car. Poor Stephen had to go down to help me in parking. But how important is parking for a commercial? Does it add value? And is the ROI of that adding extra value for the car park is more, or how does it go?
It's an interesting question, because if you see that before 2020, people were not thinking too much about parking. After COVID, and as you see, there are a lot of pressure on the car industry as well, new cars, people don't want to take the public transport anymore. And things have changed drastically. And right now, all the different industry it is going is like, I came here today and I drove, right? So I have to park. So your office space, you need earlier perhaps, you needed only 1 or 2 parkings. That would have been enough. But now you need 4 or 5 parking. So parking is kind of a little bit of pressure. So any new builds, anything happening, or any office space, or any kind of commercial property that you're looking, the first thing that I'll have clients, I'll have customers, they're going to drive, so where would I get parking? And if you don't have parking, that is going to be a problem. I'll give you a quick example on that. Parramatta and Northwest and Bella Vista is a great example. Parramatta, Parramatta Square, there are offices, but that might be empty simply because there is not enough parking. It was not designed for that, there is not enough parking. Whereas in Bella Vista, Northwest, this area, almost all the offices, they have 4, 5, 6 parking. And that's how it's becoming more and more viable to rent out or, having office there than core Parramatta, where you will not have the parking and it's always busy in terms of getting parking. So parking is a big point, and depends on where you are buying, what type of properties you are buying. And having a parking is of course going to add value to your commercial property.
Another tech point. Whenever we speak about properties, there is a very big thing off the plan and on the, like, sell by now, off the plan. I have seen, because this came into my mind because of Northwest, the new Infinity building and other buildings that have come up in that 7 Matilda Street. Those always sold off the plan 4 years back at a very great price, like literally great price. But right now, it's so difficult to buy in. So what do you think about off the plan and to buy into the business that is right now rented? How do you compare? How do you guide your clients?
It's interesting point to understand the difference between residential and commercial. With residential property, you need to understand why you're buying it. You are buying, let's say, if in an investment property, the newer, brand new property is better because people are emotional, right? Your tenant will also be emotional. If it is a brand new property, it will be rented out immediately, and it's nice and pretty and all. When it comes to commercial, it's exactly opposite. What do you mean by it's opposite? It's the tenanted property which has more demand and more it is lucrative than brand new property. Why? Because if it is tenanted, remember, commercial property is for business. People are already doing business. If it is tenanted, and that means there is a sticky tenant, they are doing business, they are earning money, they are paying rent. Versus if it is a brand new building, you have to find, once you bought the property, you have to find tenant, and finding a residential tenant and finding a commercial tenant is a different ball game. It's different, which is why as a first investor, you should always look for buying a property which is already tenanted, which means you can get a cash flow from day one. It is not vacant. Now, because in residential property, you'll always look, you say that, oh, okay, I'll find the tenant, and because there are large pool, lot of people coming, migrants and all, that is not the case with commercial, which is why I always suggest buy a tenanted property, and then as you become sophisticated, your second, third, fourth commercial property, you might play out, buy a brand new and do something, uplift and change it, and then rent it out. That's a different game. But ideally, as a first investor, buying this tenanted property older property, tenanted property makes more sense.
Yeah, now everybody needs a house to live. That's residential. Everybody needs it. But when it comes to commercial, it's a very niche market. And as it is niche, so it is more profitable also. As we spoke about the cash flow and all. Interesting. So this is off market. And what about the regions? What is we have major, like we have Perth, we have Adelaide, we have Melbourne, Sydney and Queensland. So how is the regions help
Yeah.
with the buying and all?
So we need to understand a little bit about each state, what's happening and all. Now, for example, commercial property lease, it's not too much of government interference. Let me put it this way. And now, in residential property, as you know, that you have to follow the Residential Tenancy Act, which means you can take only 4 weeks bond. You can't just evict somebody like that. You have to follow all the rules that the government has already mandated, which is in the Residential Tenancy Act. When it comes to commercial property, it's not much government mandated. It is between the landlord and the tenant, and which is why we talk about it is always the landlord friendly lease, because it's the landlord who is going to dictate how it is the lease is going to be written. Now, right now, with different locations, what's happening, you need to see the major, in Australia, the major things that is happening in 2032 is the Brisbane Olympics, right? We are all talking about. Now, whenever a big event, something that happens, there are a lot of infrastructure, the government put up pressure of building a lot of infrastructure, and it's a lot of cost, right? And my point I advocate to my client is that think about this and ride on that, which means like this is 2025 and 2032 is where the Olympics are. There is a good 7 years runway. And this I have been advocating for the last 3-4 years, and somebody who listened that in 2021 2022, they have already gone a significant amount of growth as well as the income in their property,
Right.
and even now is not late. Queensland is a place where I would like, if I have to choose only one location, I would choose Queensland for commercial property right now, because you get better cash flow. The price is point versus with the rent, that which is the cap rate that you're going to get, is better as compared to New South Wales and other places.
Oh wow! I never thought of that. There will be Queensland will be better than Sydney.
Yes, Queensland is better than Sydney simply because let me give you another example that will be clear. Let's say if you have a budget of $1 million. Now in Sydney, $1 million, it is almost impossible to get a freehold. It needs to have a strata title. You cannot get like on its own, so you have to think about the strata and sinking fund, although tenant will be paying, but you always need to also think about that how tenant is going to pay.
Correct.
It is becoming more and more expensive, and the yield, which is also known as cap rate, in New South Wales or particularly in Sydney, depends on where you're buying, it could be around 3.5%, 4%, 4.5% net return. Versus in Queensland, in Brisbane or the surrounding area like Brisbane, Townsville, Mackay, Rockhampton, Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast, all the major places, you can buy which the return could be 6.5%, 7%, 7.5%, even sometimes 8% return.
Oh wow. Wow, that's really interesting. I think after this episode, a lot of people are going to talk to you, because you just opened the Pandora box of wealth. Like how, not wealth, it's like how to tap into the wealth. See, the biggest challenge that I feel today is right now is all about cash flow. It doesn't matter whether you are doing business or not doing business, because the interest rate was high for a very long time. People are drained out of the cash. Whatever was the saving all went in the mortgage. They're not sitting on the wealth anymore. So to sit on the wealth, they need to create the wealth again.
Yeah, and absolutely, and this is one of the things. Like, look at the simple math. Let's say if you buy $800,000 property, which is a residential property, that can give you, let's say, 700 per week rent. Okay, 800 per week rent. Now 800 per week rent, that is the gross rent, which means that 800 into 52, let's say 40,000 odd that you will be collecting. Your council rates, your insurance, your management fees, your maintenance, your land tax. Be careful about the land tax. This all 5-6 expenses, which is called outgoings in commercial term, this all would be paid from that 40,000. So it will come down. When it comes to the net rent, it will come down from 40,000 to, let's say, 25, 28,000, which is roughly about 3% return, 3% net return.
Yeah.
You right now the government is giving perhaps 4% fixed deposit return, so it's better return than 3%. Now with commercial, because these expenses it will be paid by the tenant, even with the same rent, you will get the better, and that's how the cash flow comes in, and that's how the commercial is lucrative as compared to residential.
Wow. Yeah, that was really a very good note, and with this we'll also end our today's podcast. It was really amazing talking to you. The way you explained was amazing, like with the data, with the examples, and the way you have explained how commercial is helping with the cash flow. It was amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And before we end, I just want to tell you one last thing. Your dad and mom would be very proud of you right now.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I definitely aspire to help people more, and by all means, if you want to just go check our website, all the different deals that we are buying, and if you want to book a one-on-one session with us, go to our website and our team will be able to help you.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting.
All the details will be in the link. You'll have link to the website, to Soumen's MLN's YouTube channel, their LinkedIn posts, and also to the webinar link. All down. Please do go and book and see how it is going to help you. Thank you.